Hello, everybody. Terry here. I figured now's a good time to go ahead and kick this thing off. I did see a number of people jump on the Zoom call just as we're getting started up here. So appreciate you being on the call. A couple of things. First is one is this is being recorded. So if you do have questions down the road, you will get a link to this recording tonight. So you can go back and listen to it again if there's a certain section that you are have questions on. Or if you have questions, you can always send them to us. We're more than happy, my team and I are more than happy to try to answer whatever questions you have. All right, so let's just go ahead and jump in here. Um, First thing is, what are we going to talk about tonight? If you were thinking we were going to talk about Social Security, you are in the right place. It's the presentation's about 45 minutes long, and then I try to take about 10 minutes or so to answer questions. And right at 8 o'clock, I have a hard stop. That's to keep it moving, and to also, if you have questions after that, go ahead and let us know. So again, we're going to maximize your Social Security. We're going to talk about how you do that. Um, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about lowering your taxes. Paying less in taxes when you retire just puts more money in your pocket. Um, and first things first, disclosures. The attorneys out there will know that we have to give disclosures. First off, I'm an investment advisor. I do not work for Social Security. I've been doing this going on 3 decades, so I've got the gray hairs to prove it. We will talk a little bit about investments, not a lot tonight. We're going to talk about primarily, Social Security. And also, we'll do a little bit of talking about estate. And again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA, I'm a financial advisor. But some of that does fall in our wheelhouse. So, yes, I will address a few of those. And again, we're not talking about investments, but past results are no guarantee of future performance. All right. So, tonight, everybody that signed up for this workshop, obviously you did that because on the ad, it said that you get a free Social Security workbook, and you will get that. In approximately 45 minutes, you are going to get a text on your phone that has the exact link to download this workbook. Okay. Everybody gets that free of charge. You signed up for it. So you're going to get that link in about 45 minutes. Secondly, I wanted you to know that you have two options in order to complete this. One is that for those of you who are do-it-yourselfers, you're going to get the workbook. You can do it yourself. Um, it will have, some of the issues that are commonly missed when you're trying to figure out how to maximize Social Security. So you can go through there and do it on your own. And second is you can have us provide you a couple of the reports that we do all the heavy lifting. So if you wanted to know what it looked like at 62, 68, 70, 65, you want to coordinate a spouse, all that, we do the heavy lifting for you. We just need a little bit of time. We'll get the information from you. And not only do you get the workbook, because everybody gets the workbook, but I'll show you some of the reports that you're going to get as well. And really, what it does is it allows you to maximize your benefit and a spouse's benefit, or maybe you have a widower's benefit, you're divorced, wherever the case is, we show you how to maximize it. And let's say that you say, you know what, I'm going to retire at 63, but I'm not going to get Social Security until 67. How do I bridge that gap? We're going to show you what money you need and how to bridge that gap the most efficiently way possible if you need money out of your investments to live. All right. So that's what we got. Two options. Do it yourself for do-it-yourselfers, and you let our team do the heavy lifting for you. So why is Social Security such a hot topic? My workshops are typically full just about every week. And the reason being, the number one reason is that 12,000 baby boomers every day are turning 65. Now, that is a lot of people. Every single day, 12,000 people are turning 65. So that is about 3.5 million every year for the next 10 years. Huge bubble of baby boomers. They're coming through the system. All of them at some point are going to apply for Social Security, and they're turning to folks like myself to get their questions answered. All right. So what does Social Security really mean to you? 65% of middle income Americans get most of their money they live on in retirement through Social Security. So it is imperative that you get the most out of this as you can. Remember, for most of you, you've paid into Social Security 30 plus years. It's your money, it's your entitlement. You're entitled to it. If you decide not to take it, haven't met anybody yet. I think Bill Gates maybe didn't take his, but other than that, I don't know anybody personally that has not signed up to get their Social Security because it's coming out of your paycheck every month for the last 30 plus years. All right. So you deserve to get the most out of it. And 1985, since 1985, there's about 85,000 pensions that no longer exist. So what have they done? They've said, all right, you're going to work for our company, but we're no longer going to give you a pension. You're going to have to put money aside. Um, and you're going to have to put money in 401ks. If you work for a government institution, it's 403B, 451, 457, so forth and so on. But suffice it to say, you needed to put money aside if you worked for corporate America. Mostly, there are still a few pensions out there, but by and large, they are non-existent. All right. So, questions you ask yourself: do you insure your home? You got homeowners insurance, you've got auto insurance, you've got health insurance. These are all things that are pretty much standard in anyone's life, day to day, month to month, year to year. But do you insure your retirement? And really, Social Security is your retirement or is your insurance policy for longevity in retirement. All right. So if you're going to live a long time, it is best to maximize this and know that you can count on some money. It's not a lot of money, but it is some money for the rest of your life. And this is what we're going to help you do today. All right. So how long are you going to live? This is a big determining factor when you think about Social Security, because if you start Social Security at age 62 and you pass away at 65, well, you probably should have started at 62. If you started at 62 and you lived to be 116 years old, you probably should have started it when you were 70. All right. So, what is the mix? How do you determine when to start it and when not? Again, we're going to show you how to do that today. Our focus for today, again, is the ground rules for benefits, strategies if you're married, divorced, widow, widowers. And again, there's a tail piece to this, and that is the taxes. By the way, the taxes piece probably wasn't on here until recently because so many people were asking me how to minimize their tax in retirement. When it comes to Social Security gets taxed at a certain, it's different. It's different Social Security, and I'll show you the slides for that. But we want to get this right. All right, basics of your Social Security benefit. How do you qualify? You had to have worked for a job that's paying into Social Security, right? That's number one. Number two is that you needed 40 credits. And how do you get a credit? Well, you get a credit for every quarter that you earn over $1,500 a month. So for every month, or I'm sorry, for every quarter that you earn over $1,500 a month, you get one credit. All right. The minimum is 40. If you have 39, you're going to have to work a little bit more. And it's the highest 35 years. Okay. So it is adjusted for inflation. For instance, if you made $20,000 in 1980, in today's dollars, it's equivalent to almost 80. So it's going to be averaged. It's the highest 35 years. If you've worked 50 years, they're just going to exclude 15 years because they only take the top 35. Also, if you've only worked 20 years, they are going to have 15 zeros when they average this number up for you. So be careful. This is why if somebody stayed home with the kids, or you have one person working, the other one stays home, and they've worked part-time, a lot of times it's better for you to get half of your spouse's benefit than it is for you to get your own. So again, we're going to get a little bit more into that, but this is where you start getting into the gray area and trying to figure out how to maximize your benefit. All right, some exclusions. This government pension offset has been nullified. There are 3 million more people that were getting part of their Social Security clawed back from the government, no longer being clawed back. They're getting full benefits. There's about 3 million people, roughly 3 million people extra. Now, I will say that getting 3 million people extra into Social Security means that it is being drained faster. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. All right, so how does Social Security work? When you get your paycheck, you'll see on there is a deduction from Social Security, or you're paying in the Social Security. So 6.2%. Now there is a cap, $176,000 this year. So if you made $178,000, as soon as you hit 176, you no longer have to pay into Social Security. So you get a little bit extra in your paycheck, but you do have to earn quite a bit as far as the 176,000. Now your employer matches that 6.2 with the 6.2 of their own. So you get 12.4% going into the Social Security bucket. And just think of it as a bucket of money that you are paying into every month or every time you get paid. You get paid twice a month, twice. And today's contributions only cover the people who are taking money out today. They are not accruing for you. It's not like a bank account or a 401k. That money is not earmarked for you. That money is earmarked for your neighbor who is already on Social Security. So that's an important factor because it is insolvent. Still has money in it, still going to be able to pay. And I'll show you the date that it actually runs out. But essentially, it's been running in the red now for quite a while. So 1980, or I'm sorry, 2010, it's been running in the red with all the baby boomers. I mean, it's just no way it's going to get out, right? There's a big, huge group of people that are starting to take Social Security, and there's just no way that we're getting a huge group of people putting in enough in order to stabilize it. So it's being drained every year. Unfortunately, there are 70 million people taking Social Security right now. Okay, this comes from the Social Security Administration's website. 70 million people out of roughly a population of 325, 350 million. Yeah, I guess we don't have an exact number on that, but just know that it's close to a third of the population is taking Social Security. So that's a lot. All right. Now it is fully funded through 2035. However, that number came out in November of last year. All right. So that's November's number. Again, there's 3 million more people that are taking out Social Security today than what they were then. So 2026, there's only 83 cents on the dollar. So in theory, if they paid out only what they had available, if you were getting $1,000 a month, you would get a reduction in your check to now only getting 830. All right. So there are a couple ways that they can fix this. First off is that they can increase the minimum retirement age from 62 to 64, 65. And by the way, they're actively looking at this now. All right. So they are going to try to make some minor adjustments. They won't make it all at once, right? One of the things that people who are 60 years older or 60 years old and older vote. They aren't going to make any big changes to this, or else they're going to get voted out of power. And one thing politicians don't like is to be voted out. So they could make that small change. They're talking about now. Increase full retirement age. Right now, full retirement age, if you're born after 1960, is 67. They could increase that to age 68. And again, they'll have different age bands to do that. They could increase the payroll tax. All right. So that, remember, you have 6.2 coming out of your paycheck, 6.2 comes out of your employer's. Let's say that they change that and now they make your employer pay 10%. You, in theory, would not see that because your employer would pay it. But again, that's just less money that they could pay you. So there are sneaky ways to try to hide this, and that would be one. And of course, they could always reduce benefits. This is probably the least likely, and they'll do some combination of all of that. Or, they could always just print money. I mean, let's face it, the government fiscal policy, they just not 100% solid. So they could just run the presses and keep on chugging along. I mean, so I'm sure that they'll figure it out. All right. So how are your benefits determined? For those of you who have been doing some research, you probably know for every year that you wait past 62, you earn about 8% more on average per year. Now that does maximize your benefit at about 132% of your PIA or primary insurance amount. This is a term that you're going to hear if you ever call Social Security Administration. PIA is the primary insurance amount, and that's really your full benefit. Whatever your full benefit is, and it's going to say on your Social Security statement, it could be age 67, could be a little sooner than that, but it will give you how much it's going to be. All right. Now, you've got three types of benefits. One is your own benefit. That's the money that you've paid in the Social Security that is accrued, the average of 35, so forth and so on. That is one benefit, and it's your own benefit. You're essentially claiming your own benefit. Now, you could claim a spouse's benefit. This is one way that you can also get a benefit. And also, if you are a widow or a widower, survivor's benefits, basically. If you are surviving a spouse, you can also claim for a spousal benefit or survivor benefit. All right. So I'll get into the differences of those three and filing options. This is one of the things that's super important. Okay. If you don't get anything else out of it, understand that once you make a decision, you pretty much have to stick with that decision for the rest of your life. Right. Deciding on when to do it. You could, in theory, file for benefits, start your benefit within 365 days. You call Social Security Administration and say, hey, I made a mistake. I want to go ahead and pay back what you gave me, and I want to suspend my benefit. They can do that. I do not know a single person out of, I don't know, 20 plus years that I've been working with people who have done this successfully. I do know one guy that tried to do this because he received an inheritance right after he filed, but it was during COVID. Couldn't get a hold of the Social Security Administration people to help him do it. And he just threw up his arms and said, screw it, I'll just go ahead and continue my benefit. All right, so there is a way to do it. However, it's very unlikely. All right. Oh, speaking of this, so I had a lady talk to me and say, oh, well, my neighbor told me I could go ahead and apply and I'll go ahead and get my benefit. She was still working. And I said, please don't do that because when you're working, there's a threshold. If you go over the threshold, Social Security takes your money back. They don't allow you to work and get Social Security unless you're full retirement age. She goes, no, no, no. My neighbor told me that she's getting hers, and I'm just going to go ahead and I could use the money. I said, please don't do that because it's not going to help you because she was still working. And she was earning, she was a school teacher, so she was getting about 65, 70,000 a year. And I'll show you the numbers here in a second, but she did. And about a year later, she called me back and said, oh, Social Security is taking all of my Social Security. I said, yeah, I try to explain to you, it doesn't catch up to you. They don't know that when you first file, but they do know it after 1 year because you have to file your income tax return and they're going to say, hey, you made too much money. You're no longer going to get your Social Security check. Unfortunately, it stuck her at a lower payment for the rest of her life. So again, please talk to somebody. If you don't talk to us, talk to somebody that knows Social Security. These are the kind of mistakes that are silly, but yet detrimental to your retirement. All right. So if you're married, this is a good one. If you're married and you are thinking about a spousal benefit, now, if you're married, you could do one of two ways. One is that you can claim a spousal benefit, which is 50% of your spouse, or you could claim your own, whichever is higher. If you worked and your husband worked, your wife worked, and it works out to where you get more money if both of you claim, then you do that. Yeah, the suspend, file and suspend no longer is available. But if you have one person that stayed at home and took care of the kids or just didn't work or whatever, you would want to apply for spousal. And so this is the qualifications. First off, you had to be married for at least a year, right? It's for spousal. Second of all, the primary worker has to file. So, in the event that you decided, hey, I'm a primary worker, I want to get 132% of my benefit. Well, you can do that. However, your spouse can't file until you file. All right. So that's also another reason why you'd want to talk to somebody and try to coordinate your benefit. The last thing you want to do is wait when you could have been getting half of your spouses and made far more out of Social Security. All right. So here's a quick example of how all that works. So John earns $2,000 a month out of Social Security. This is Jane. Jane would be eligible for half at her full retirement age, again, at 1,000, which is half of John's primary amount. I'm going to go into the weeds of this next slide. So please, if you've got questions, feel free to throw them up there. But this is the distinction. This is one of the gray areas of trying to figure this out. And that is, let's say John started Social Security at age 62. And then let's say Jane says, you know what, I'm going to file at 62 as well. Let's assume that they're both the same age. She would only get 70% of her benefit. Now, 70% of the benefit means that you get half, right? You normally would get half if you did spousal. Well, she's only going to get 70% or 35% of John's. So this is where it's important to know if you're going to file early, not only does it hurt the person filing early, the primary earner, but it also is going to hurt the spouse as well. All right. Now, conversely, if the primary decides to wait, they are going to get 132% of the primary insurance amount. However, the spouse is only entitled to half of the amount they get at age 66. So let's say it's $1,000 a month John's getting here. Here, John's getting 1,320. Jane is entitled to $500 because it's $1,000. Jane's also entitled to $500 because it's half of this benefit as well. So keep that in mind. Even though one is increasing, it's not half of the benefit amount, it's half of the primary insured's amounts. So this is one of the things that people get confused on, and I always get lots of questions on that. Okay, moving on. Survivor benefits. So this is a special section for those that Social Security kind of takes a little bit of pity on folks, and this is the only one that has a little bit of a carve out, and I'll explain here in a second. So at the death of the first spouse, the surviving spouse can receive. Now, again, you look at the maximums. You can get your own benefit, you can get the benefit of the deceased, or 82.5% of the primary insurance amount if the deceased. Again, they penalize you if the deceased has filed early. All right. So some of the common mistakes is that the highest wage earner files early. You typically want the highest of the two, husband and wife, to file later and survivors benefits. And then both delay past full retirement age or no one claims a spousal benefit. So these are the top two issues that we come across. And let's move on to divorced. All right. If you are divorced, you have to, this is the requirements. First off, you have to be married for 10 years. You cannot be currently married. If you're currently married, you'll have to file for spousal with your existing spouse, not somebody you were divorced from. All right. So this is if you were divorced. Same benefit amounts occur to what we just showed you for spousal benefits. And independently entitled. So this is another one of those that pop up. Most people don't understand this, but you have to be divorced at least 2 years for you to be entitled to divorced benefits. All right. So minimum of 2 years. You have to be married for 10 or more, but then you have to be divorced for 2+ years. All right. Common questions we hear from those that are divorced. Essentially, what it boils down to is most people are concerned that their spouse is going to find out they're taking the spousal benefit or divorce benefit. Don't worry about it. The answer here is that they don't know that you're taking half of the benefit. Second of all, you're entitled to take half of the benefit. And third of all, there's nothing they can do in order for them or for you not to get your benefit. All right. So those are the three issues that pop up. You're going to get your benefit no matter what your spouse says. They can't do anything about it. And it doesn't matter. You just tell Social Security they have it on file and they are going to start sending you your checks. Right. So if you are a widow or a widower, some of the qualifications that obviously you have to be one of the two. 60 years old. So this is one of the issues is that you don't have to wait till age 62 to get widower benefits. You can start getting them at age 60. All right. So this may help for those of you who need the benefit at age 60. Unmarried. So you cannot be married up until age 60. At 60 and 1 day, you can get remarried and still qualify for widow benefits. And you have to be married for a minimum of 9 months. So this is one of the reasons why they have this in here. First off, they have it in there to protect people from getting married on their deathbed and trying to pass along the benefit. All right. Social Security got hip to that. I'm sure it was probably tried, probably successful until they changed the rules. You have to be married for 9 months. There are certain exceptions, and the exception really is, let's say you have a married couple, one's in the military, they get married, he goes overseas or she goes overseas, gets killed in action. They allow that to where you can get widow or widower benefits. You can get that as well. So here's a quick example. Again, it's probably best if you are, and remember, I had a couple of emails asking me questions about this. It's probably best if you have specific questions to go ahead and send me an email or let me know because this does get a little bit tricky. All right. So let me show you, I'll show you why on the next slide, but let's do a quick client example. John, her husband, ex-husband, he passed away at age 64. His benefit was 2,150 at full retirement age. All right. Jane, that's her, 5 years younger. So she's age 59 when John died. And she remained unmarried until she hit 60. Now, Jane's benefit on her own at age 62 was 1,197. And by the way, this example is pretty close to what we would see for widow or widower benefits. So what can you do? There are three options that you could do in order to maximize your benefit. All right. Now, it's important to know which one to do, and we would show you this in the report. First is that you could file for widower benefits at 1,537 at age 60. Okay, so that's important. You didn't have to wait to age 62. You file at age 60. And your total benefit is $461,000, assuming she lived to be age 85. Right, so 460,000. Say, okay, that's one strategy. Strategy two is that she filed for early retirement at age 62. She didn't wait till 65, so she filed for her own benefit at 1197, 1,197, and then she switches at age 67 to the widow benefit, which is 2,150. All right, so that increased her benefit by about $70,000. All right, so that is about a little less than 20%, about 18% increase in her Social Security. And strategy number three is you file for widow benefits. Again, we're back down to age 60. You get the 1,570 a month, and then you switch to your own retirement at age 70, which is 2,108. All right, so you see her benefit goes up by another $30,000 if you do that. So 461, 538, or 563. Taking a look at this chart, which one would you pick? Hopefully, most of you chose option 3 because that starts your benefit earlier. And it also increased your benefit by about 25% from 460,000 to now 560. All right. So $100,000 more in retirement simply by sitting down and talking to somebody. All right. All right. So can you still work and collect? Yes. But again, I shared with you the illustration or share with you the issue with the one client. 23,400 for 2025. And for every dollar or for every $2 over that, they subtract a dollar. So it's important to know if somebody comes to me and they say, okay, well, I'm thinking about maybe working a part-time job. I'm 63 years old and I want to retire. I say, all right, that's fine. It's great, actually. But are you going to be earning over $23,400? If you're going to work part-time, I had one lady, she went to work part-time for the church. I don't know, maybe she earned $15,000 throughout the year working part-time, right? So she was just really helping out. She didn't make over that amount. She says, well, I still really want to get the money. I said, fine, that's one thing. But if you've got somebody that's earning $60,000 a year and they say, well, like the teacher I mentioned earlier, saying, yeah, I want to go ahead, I want to start getting Social Security, and I also want Social Security, but I also want to continue my job. You do not want to do that because Social Security will lock your benefit. Remember, the year you start Social Security, it is locked for the rest of your life. And it will not do you any favors in order to do that. You may feel rich a couple months into it because you're getting Social Security and your job or your paycheck. But as soon as Social Security figures it out, they will stop your benefit as soon as they can. All right. So there's another um, package that can help you kind of figure this out. Again, just think of it if you're making $43,000, roughly 20,000 is going back. Whatever you make over this amount divided by 2, and that's the amount going back to Social Security. All right. So Social Security does get taxed. You might ask, how does it get taxed? Right? There's a special tax form. If you use TurboTax or something like that, it'll figure this out for you. But in the event that you are curious, you can get this Social Security um, brochure. You can go on IRS and just download it, really. And it is 33 pages. So the IRS has put together a easy to follow brochure on how your Social Security gets taxed, and it took them 33 pages in order to do it. All right, that's a lot. So here it is in basically 2 slides. First off, it's called provisional income. This provisional income is used to determine how much of your Social Security gets taxed. All right. So keep in mind, they are working on this. They may have all Social Security not get taxed going forward. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Obviously, there's been a lot of changes in the last day. So could be a lot more changes tomorrow. But as of today, this is how it works. Certainly they're keeping us on our toes. So let's say you get $24,000 a year in Social Security. You take half of that. You just divide it by 2, and you come up with $12,000. You take $12,000 plus whatever earned income you have for the year, meaning dividends, CDs, money out of 401ks, 403bs, any of that kind of money. Whatever that amount is, earned income, you add the 2 together. So here you get $42,000. 42,000 in provisional income is your number. And then you go over here to this easy little chart. If you are single and you earn 42,000, it's past this threshold. So that means that 85% of your Social Security gets count as ordinary income. And whatever tax bracket you're in, 85% of it. Okay. So let's say you get $10,000 a year in Social Security. Again, I'm just giving you quick little examples. $1,500 would be tax-free. The other $8,500 would be taxable. It's taxable, and then you earn or you figure out what your tax rate is, and then that 8,500 gets taxed at that rate. Again, we're going a little deep on this. I hope everybody's following along. And then for 42,000, if you were married, it's above this threshold, which is 32,000. So that means that half of your Social Security, again, gets taxed. They don't take half of your Social Security, just half of it gets put into your tax form to figure out how much tax you owe on 50% of your benefit. All right. So this again is going a one step deeper, and then we'll come up for air because I think it's important to know that some of your income does not go and count against you when you're looking at provisional income. All right. So again, we got $30,000 that we had originally, but some of the income that does not count towards line 3 or figuring out your provisional income. One is Roth distributions. All right. So if you have a Roth account, you have a Roth 401k, or you have a Roth IRA, if you've taken money out of those, it does not count towards provisional income. And to make an absurd example, let's say you took $200,000 out to live on last year. $200,000 does not show up here for your Social Security. All right. You may end up paying zero in taxes, even though you took $200,000 out, because Roth distributions do not count. The second type of income that does not count is if you have cash value life insurance, meaning you've accumulated a cash value in life insurance over period of time. Let's say that you took some of that money out. When you take cash out of your loan or cash value life insurance, the interesting thing is that it is not taxed because it is a loan. Let's say you have $100,000 in tax or in money accrued in that account. You say, geez, you know what? I need to take $20,000 out. I need a roof, buy a new car, whatever the case is, whatever you decided money on. Doesn't matter what you used it on, but that $20,000 was taken out as a loan. It does not cause taxation to go up in your provisional income in your Social Security. All right. We have ways that we can actually get all of this down to where you would basically earn zero in taxes. You would pay zero in taxes. All right. Doesn't happen for everybody. I'm giving you kind of an exaggerated illustration, but it can be done. And we have had it done, and we can do it for certain types of individuals. All right. One that does not count. I just talked to a gentleman today who has municipal bonds. He's 74 years old, and he's like, yeah, every time I have to fill out my taxes, my municipal bonds count against me. I go, yes, you don't have to pay tax on income on municipal bonds. However, you do have to claim them, and it does push up your taxation on your Social Security. So essentially, you're double taxed, even though the reason why you buy municipal bonds is that you want to pay no tax on the interest you get from them. All right. So I know it's a deep dive. For those of you who are engineers, are probably giving me a thumbs up. For those of you who are not engineers, you can wake up now. We'll go on to better things, right? All right. So early versus wait. Let's suppose there's a couple. Again, this is just going to show you what happens if you take Social Security early and what could happen if you took it late, right? Two quick examples. Take it early, take it later. How does that affect you, or would it affect you? All right. Here's a quick little example to illustrate how it could affect you. Again, couple 62, 64, $34,000 in Social Security if they took it early. All right, $34,000 jointly if they took it early. Starting retirement with $750,000 roughly in 401k IRA assets, meaning that they have not paid taxes on this. Remember, Any money that has gone in the 401k IRA, you'll have to pay its deferred taxes. If it's a Roth, you don't, but if it is 401k, regular 401k or IRA, you will. We're going to assume in this illustration that they're going to get 6% annual returns and 3% inflation. Now, married couple needs $70,000 a year to live on, and they're going to live to age 86 and 89 respectively. All right. So this is what a quick graph looks like if you took it early, right? So let me tell you some of the, or share with you some of the things. The orange line here is money that is coming out of your 401k. All right, easy enough, 401k money. The red line is how much money you need to live every year to make ends meet, which starts at 70,000, but again, it goes up by 3% for every year that you projected out. The blue line here, remember they started Social Security early. So the blue line illustrates Social Security payments coming into them, and they started at age 62. So this is why you see the incremental amounts coming up. But you notice here, something happens. There's no more orange lines here, and you're 24 years into retirement. So what exactly is that illustrating? And that is illustrating the fact that you have run out of money. All right. You're still getting your Social Security, but you no longer have any investable assets that you are getting. Basically, the piggy bank's dry. Account balance is going to zero, your bank account. And you say, geez, that's not good. And I would agree with you. That is definitely not advantageous to you to run out of money. It's one thing if you want to go live with your kids when you retire. Totally different if you have to go live with them and sell the house because you ran out of money. So that's important to know. You say, okay, that's what happens if you took it early. Say, okay, same example, same everything. What would happen if we delayed? So you can see the orange still represents money they're taking out of the 401ks. The blue still represents money that they're taking out of Social Security. They're getting paid every month. Red line still the same, $70,000 a month with 3% cost of living increases. And the orange above the red line are taxes. I think I forgot to mention that earlier, but the orange above the line is taxes. So you notice here that, geez, they did not run out of money, and their money lasted them all the way through the end of their retirement. All right. Now, this is an oversimplified example, but this can happen. And this is why we do the advanced reports for some of you that want to come see us, because this is one of the things you're going to get with the advanced report. All right. It's going to show you, hey, if you took it at 62, this is how much money you're going to retire on. This is how much money you're going to need. And if there's a shortfall. Conversely, it's going to say, well, if you wait to age 70, we're going to use up part of your 401k. What's best for you? Really, this is just answering what is in it for you and what is the best strategy for you in retirement. And this is just a quick example, but these help. Nobody that comes see us or we do these reports for us says, you know what, that was a waste of time, because this is the crux of Social Security, or maximizing it is coordinating a benefit. All right, whether it's yourself or married or spousal, it is making sure that you get the most out of it. All right. So optimized income and Social Security strategy. You say, okay, you had an example where somebody took it at 62. You just showed me an example of what happened at age 70. Was there a real benefit to it? Right? I mean, was there a benefit? And the answer is yes, a threefold benefit. One is that they increased the Social Security amount that they pulled out of Social Security by 30%. All right. They were able to get almost $200,000 more out of Social Security. So let me ask you, would you want to increase your benefit 30%? Would you want 30% more? Could you use an extra $200,000 of the government's money, of the money that you put into Social Security? Would that help you during retirement? Hopefully everybody's shaking their head yes. 14 more years of income out of their portfolio. So let me ask you, you want to retire and get 14 more years out of your retirement, 14 more years out of your portfolio? We can absolutely show you how that can happen for you. And $35,000 less in taxes. So this is always the head scratcher, right? You say, geez, how can you pay $35,000 less because you've got $186,000 more in retirement? And we can break that down to show you month by month, year by year, how you can get $35,000 less, pay $35,000 less in taxes and still increase the time it takes for you or for your money to sit in the account for you to take out. So again, you almost get $200,000 more. You get 14 more years. And hopefully you can see how this coordinating a benefit could benefit you. Even if you extend it by 1 year, you may not see all these big benefits, but is it worth it to you to extend? That's the question. Is it worth it for you to extend? All right. So about your Social Security statement. There are no cost of living increases applied. So when you get your statement, let's say you're 62 years old, you say, I'm going to retire when I'm 67 and I'm going to get my full retirement benefit. It shows a benefit on your statement. That benefit does not show cost of living increases. And this year we had 2.5%. And it increases every year thereafter. It simply isn't going to show that. And it also is going to assume that you're going to work until age 67. So for those of you that say, you know what, I'm going to retire at 62, hang up my spurs, call it a day, but I'm not going to apply until age 67, so I get my full benefit. It is going to underestimate because it assumes that those next 7 years or 5 years, it's going to assume that you're working. And typically the last 5 years that you had been working are the highest five. So it's going to assume that you are going to get the higher interest or higher income. All right. So that's important too. And it's your record only. So if you are married or spousal or divorced or any of that, it will not coordinate that benefit for you. It does not know. Your statement, your benefit, only information on you. That's by design. Due to the rules, Social Security Administration cannot give out spouses benefits and things like that to you. And it's not going to give you any advice. Remember, it may be beneficial to you to start it at age 62 if you have health issues. It may be beneficial for you to start at age 70 if you got longevity. The question is that in between ground, if you're going to retire early and you want to start Social Security at a later date, how are you going to bridge that gap? We can help figure that out for you. We have a couple of tried and true methods to do that, and we're more than happy to share that with you. All right. So the Roth rollout strategy, this is important. So it's typically for those folks that have saved in their 401ks at least $250,000 or more. And the reason why we put this in here is that I have a quick example here. Let me go through the example and then I'll come back and kind of fill it in. But let's assume married couple. By the way, I had talked to these folks, even though it says hypothetical example. This is an example of somebody that was married. They were both government workers. They did not need money out of their investment income because both of them were getting pensions. Both of them were getting Social Security. All right. So they had all of their basic living expenses covered, but they had saved about $1.3 million in a 457 plan. Again, if you're a government worker, you have 403B, 457, 451, 401A. But if you work for a company, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a 401k. All right. So a private company. So they had about 1.3 million. Again, you say, well, what does that look like? Well, this is just hypothetical, but it's kind of their numbers. This is the amount that they would be paying in taxes. So it starts off super low. They were kind of young. 63, 64. So they were pretty young, and they didn't have required minimum distributions. Let me tell you the devil in the details here. The devil in the details here is that when you turn 73 or 74, depending on your age, you are required, the government makes you take money out of your 401ks, IRAs, anything that you have put aside for when you retire that you have not paid taxes on. All right. IRAs, 401k, 401(k), 403, 457, all those type of accounts, you do and are forced to take taxes or money out of those accounts when you hit certain ages. It's called required minimum distributions. And what happens is if you're not taking money out, your money's going to grow. So even though this married couple had $1.3 million in their deferred accounts, you can see here that they're writing checks to the IRS for $300,000. Here it's almost $400,000. I mean, as they got really up in age, they're writing checks for $500,000 to the IRS. And you say, geez, that's just virtually impossible. It's not, because they didn't need any money out of here. So what happens is that you're forced to take money out, and it increases, but it also pushes you up in tax brackets. So yeah, it really doesn't help you later in life. Well, I've got a gentleman that is a client of mine. He's 76, 77. I don't know. He's in that ballpark here, but he's had to take RMDs out. So now he's in probably, 6 to 7% of his money is coming out in RMDs. And he's always saying, "Hey, Terry, they're forcing me to really take too much money out of my account." I'm like, yeah, but I can't help that. They're forcing you to do it because you were good about saving money. And he had saved about $1 million. He worked for IBM as one of their engineers. But suffice it to say, he did a good job saving money. Just so happened that because he did a good job saving money and he didn't spend any until he needed it, the government's forcing him to take money out, which is forcing him up in tax brackets. He doesn't want to pay higher tax. I'm sure you don't want to pay higher tax, but the end result is it's forcing him up and making him have to pay. All right. So you say, I did all that to explain to you that there is a better way. All right. What is the better way? Well, the better way is if we could take some of your money that you have in 401ks, IRAs, and front run it. Basically, move the money up front and roll that into a Roth account. When you do that, two things. One is that you have to pay the taxes the year that you roll it. Two is that there are no exclusions. So you can roll as much money. I typically get the question, I thought it was $7,000 cap or $8,000 cap that I could roll into Roth IRAs. That is not the case. You can roll as much as you want, but you do owe the taxes in that year that you roll it. All right. So that's important to know. But you say, if you did look at that strategy and the software, kind of projects some of the stuff out, you say, well, the red line shows that you are paying more in taxes this year. So that's in the red. If you did not do the strategy, it's the gray line. If you did it this year, it's the red line. And if you did it for a couple of years in a row, you are paying more upfront in taxes than you would otherwise. However, all these green lines are all your savings. So the question is, does paying it up front benefit you down the road? So again, we put it in the software, and the software says, hey, you know what? Let's try to figure it out. And in this particular illustration, it would save this married couple roughly $1 million in taxes, right? Again, this is an example, but the reason being is because as you got older, it really forced them up in much higher tax brackets. And we can avoid that for the most part and save them quite a bit of money in taxes, right? So this is why we added this strategy, because if you have $250,000 or more, and you're letting the money grow, we should and probably could save you money in taxes. Okay. Just by doing Roth conversions. The good thing is, if we do the analysis for you, we're going to find out if it makes sense to do this or not. Right? It may make sense, it may not, but knowing that it could, or not knowing that it could, and later down the road not taking advantage of it could cost you a lot of money. All right. So again, the results in this particular example, it saved them over $1 million in taxes. It increased their net worth over $2 million, their tax-free net worth. All right. So why is this important? Because they had 3 children that they were leaving the money to. What it allowed them to do as parents is pay the taxes so that when their kids inherited the money, the taxes were already paid, right? Which is important for some people it's not, but they've already prepaid their inheritance that they're leaving to their children up front, all right? So $2 million, it increased the amount that they were able to give their kids tax-free, and it increased the overall amounts by 4 million. So the amount that they were allowed to for inheritance and charity giving, it increased their net worth by about $4 million at time of death, which again, is just before 80. So that's important to know. Again, I threw this in there. It doesn't pertain to everybody, but if you want this strategy, we will do an analysis for you to see if it makes sense for you. So again, you've got 2 choices. Oh, you know what? I was so busy talking that I forgot to mention. Approximately 7 minutes ago, and if you were watching this on a rebroadcast or you're watching this on a replay, you were texted a link to maxoursocialsecurity.com. And that's the link that you go to download your free workbook if you want to do it yourself. All right. Do it yourself. That workbook helps you figure out how much your Social Security is. It also helps you figure out if Social Security has made any mistakes. All right. And the second option is on there, it has a little button. If you want to meet with us, you can set up a time to meet with myself and the team to figure out how to maximize your Social Security and lower your taxes. Where again, we'll do the heavy lifting for you. You may not have the time or inclination to do it. You might say, hey, you know what? I need to figure out, I want you to give me the graphs and the charts and all the other stuff, free resources to make an educated decision yourself, which we are more than happy to do. So out of the hundreds of people that we've run this for, nobody said that they didn't get a high degree of value out of that and say, it was definitely worth their time. All right, so here's a quick little example of the chart. Again, it just shows you how much you would get in Social Security if you delay, if you wait. Everybody asks, if you started at 62 versus wait to age 70, there is a break-even point for everybody. How much or where is the break-even? In other words, if you waited to age 70 or if you started at 62, there is a break-even. We give you that as well. And so if you decide to set up a time, again, if you want to set up a time with us, that's great. Again, our staff is well versed on how to set these things up. And we've been working with Social Security for a while now. So we'll do the Social Security analysis for you. We'll do the workbook alongside of you. And we'll do the Roth recovery strategy, Roth rollout strategy. And you can schedule today. So everybody just received this link, which is maxoursocialsecurity.com. This is the form that you fill out. If you click on the link that you received on your phone, hopefully you gave us the right cell phone number because you just did receive this. And again, if you were watching this on a rebroadcast, all you have to do is type in www.maximize, just short for maximize, oursocialsecurity.com. maxoursocialsecurity.com takes you to this form, fill it out. Now, if you do want to meet with us, you fill out the form, you're still going to get the workbook. Again, everybody should fill the form out just so you can get the workbook. If you want to meet with us and do your Social Security analysis, you just click yes and then submit. Okay. So that's as simple as that. And you pick a time that our calendar is up online. You just pick a time that you want to come see us or meet with us through Zoom, and we'll set that up. All right. Well, I apologize today. I must have given too many examples. We're right at 8 o'clock. I do have a hard stop right at 8 o'clock. So I do appreciate you being on this call. For those of you that have been on other calls, you know that we also run estate planning workshops. We'll do Medicare workshops. We'll do income planning. We'll talk about the different types of investments people are using today to maximize and get lifetime income. So we have all these other workshops because you have attended this one or you've signed up for this one and attended. You will get invitations to those. They are free. Again, it's just a further free resource for you as you approach retirement, or if you have questions on any of those, you can watch those as well. All right. So I'm going over now, but I do appreciate you on the call. If you do have questions, feel free to set up a time. More than happy to answer those. Again, thank you for being on the call, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.